Happy to. And I'm bringing it to my, so I can watch for questions.
Okay. Oh,
Okay, so I guess we're live. I'm not moving. I don't know what's going on. I can't see it on the page, but I guess we're live.
I can see us moving. I see we're doing good.
Okay, we're doing good. Let's do good. I guess we're live.
I can see us moving. I see we're doing good.
Okay, we're doing. So, Monica.
Hi.
Your head is down. I do Facebook Lives so entertaining that if they were going to give a class on how to do a Facebook Live, I would be under the category, don't do this. So thank you for tolerating my ineptness in technology, but I do laugh it off and I have fun. So thank you for coming.
Well, it's not all ineptness. It's, Mercury shadow period. It's the retro shade, as they
Honey,
say.
it doesn't happen every time I go on. I screw up every time I go on. Anyway, we're going to talk about your beginner's astrology class that I am so excited that you're going to have at Resonant Essentials Esoteric School of Metaphysics. Yay!
I'm excited too. I'm excited to be teaching it. It seems like every other week or every other month somebody comes forward and asks for a beginner's class because they're like, what does this mean? And I'm like, it's a lot. It means a lot, and it's a lot about you. You can tell your whole life with the chart wheel.
Well, I think what confuses people, because I have my chart literally over by my side. It's in my little handy. This is my astrology folder. I have two wheels. I have one for evolutionary astrology and one, which they're basically the same wheels, but they read differently because of how you do evolutionary versus, so you look for different things, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I have sat in with the astrology group quite a bit. And there are things that I had to learn that overwhelmed me at first, like what does a trine mean? What does conjunction mean? So, can you tell everyone what it is that you're going to be teaching in this class? And then I want to talk about what you're going to be doing at the psychic fair too. So, I want to get all that in today.
Okay, so with like a trine and a conjunction, those actually play into sacred geometry. A conjunction is a single point that is everybody is all snuggled together. And the trine is actually one line in an equilateral triangle. So when you get a grand trine, you actually make the equilateral triangle in a chart, and it's actually a position in the sky. So the planets are making this sacred symbol in the sky as we're in that moment. And that equilateral triangle is the strongest, most fierce part of sacred geometry. Like the squares, the circles, none of them compared to that. It's like a fortress of energy. And most people I know who have dealt with people with hey.
You're there.
Okay. Yeah. I'm like, what's it going? I'm talking to nobody. There you are. Right. So most people I know who have been practicing astrology for a long time have differing opinions on equilateral triangle, the grand trine. And that's in a chart, the person themselves, everything in their life just moves smoothly. Nothing bops in their way.
So, that's in a trine?
A grand trine.
A
That's when
grand
that
trine.
trine makes
How
two
often
other.
do you get one of those in your chart?
My dad has one.
Huh?
So my dad has one. And there's a couple of them happening this Venus retrograde when Venus is going to be making contacts to Mars. She makes contacts to Mars when she goes back into Pisces, and then when she goes into Aries again. and Mars will be in Leo.
So you're going to be teaching the basic or the beginning philosophy, the beginning astrology group. And they'll be able to see if they have a grand trine or a trine in their chart. And if it's coming up as one of their progressive, and if you do progression, right? So they'll be able to see. So what is it? Is somebody with a grand trine, and then when it happens out in the universe for that period of time, like this period that we're coming into, that you're saying we're going to have a grand trine, does that affect everybody or just the people who have grand trines in their chart?
It affects everybody. People who have points on their chart, and that's why it's probably important to know your chart, is you can find out where that grand trine is hitting on individual people. So it's not going to hit the whole zodiac the same way. It's not going to hit everybody the same way. Some people have really good chemistry with some of these planets and some of these positions. And so the grand trine is going to be that much better and make everything flow so smoothly. It's like a cyclone of goodness.
So I know that Mars is still in Cancer right now, right?
Yes.
When the grand trine happens, will it be in Leo where it's much more favored than in Cancer?
It will be a grand trine when it's still in Cancer, and
So
Venus
what
will
does
be in
that do?
Pisces.
Because for Cancers, because they don't like
Well,
Mars doesn't like Cancer.
well, yeah, Mars doesn't like Cancer because Cancer is about security and homeliness, and Mars is about picking a fight.
Uh-huh.
And so together they're like, we're picking a fight in the home, and that's not where you want. We're picking a fight with your security.
So what
And
does the grand trine do if it's Venus? Because that's relationships.
so Venus is exalted in Pisces. So Pisces is the selfless sign, is the sign of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So when Venus is in Pisces, it's the love of everybody. And so together, when they make that trine, it's going to be Mars fighting for security or against security for everybody. And so taking the energies of that sign, it's helping the collective, helping everybody, all the people who are underdogs in the world. This trine is going to actually help them in a general sense. So people who are struggling and are really just put under the thumb of what the universe at any given time when things is just not going their way, that's they have hard lives as it is. This trine actually is going to bring into their lives somebody to help them, and this trine is actually going to be a period of helping. And so
Oh,
if it
good.
picks up in your chart, you either become the one who's being helped or you're going to be the one who's doing the helping, which is everybody likes to be helped, but to be able to actually help somebody selflessly and actually make a difference in their lives is something truly magical.
Yes, that's very true. I agree with that 150%. So these are the things that they will begin to understand, not because this is so all encompassing. In your how long is the course? How
7
many
weeks.
weeks?
7 weeks.
7 weeks.
So, and we won't get to trines until about the 6th week
So
because that gets a little
complicated.
more in the weeds. We need to
Okay.
start out where we are on Earth at the moment, because it doesn't really matter what the planets are doing if you don't know where you are and where you're beginning. And so we have to start out and figure out how we're looking at the stars, and we forget it. We don't look at the
I have to
stars
say,
anymore.
I always struggle with where am I? That's a good one. You're so awesome to talk with, Monica. You crack me up.
Thank you.
And you know so much. This is what's so wonderful. I listen to a lot of different astrology, and some people overcomplicate it. So this is going to be a really great course for them to take because you don't complicate. So it's not going to be above their pay grade.
Yeah, that's always hard when it's a little too in the weeds and too in depth, and you're just like, what does that even mean? It makes no sense. I started studying astrology in 1999. That's I grew up in Taos, and so the public library in Taos has an amazing collection of astrology books because many famous astrologers have lived there. And Taos has a strong metaphysical community. So, they have quite the selection, and I got a really good, well-rounded beginning of just reading these books. And then as I grew older, I got more and more and started meeting people, and it's been wonderful. So astrology is almost like a first language for me in some ways. I understand things better in astrology than I do in the real world sometimes. It's like, oh, why is this person a jerk? Oh, they're just having a Mercury retrograde day. And Mercury retrograde doesn't.
And then there's some people who are just jerks every day. What's their excuse? What makes what part of the astrology makes somebody a jerk every day?
Well, it depends. It changes, and you get to understand different ways of how people live their life. You really develop a different kind of empathy. Some people do not realize that they're being jerks at all.
I know someone who knows they're a jerk and just told me the other day, I like being a curmudgeon. It's like, okay. So for them, it doesn't count, right?
Well, you could still look at the astrology of why they like being a curmudgeon. Probably has something to do with Saturn. Because Saturn's the curmudgeon of the zodiac, of the planets.
So when they go in and they're taking this class, all of this information gets to go in so that it slides through and people start to really come full circle with it, right?
Yeah, and being able to understand not just what these energies are, but how they play together is a huge part of learning astrology. And that's one of the places that I struggled a lot, that I've been able to translate into layman's terms. Like we were talking about the grand trine, they're going to happen in like a particular element. So we all kind of know what the elements are: fire, water, earth, and air. But a lot of people don't understand the modalities, which are cardinal, fixed, and mutable. And it's like, what does that mean? What does that mean at all? I'm losing my hat. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exciting.
You must have some Italian in you.
No, just Latina.
Well, as an Italian, I do this a lot. That's why I'm leaning on my hands so I don't use my hands to talk.
You sit on them.
Well, I'm kind of crossed arms and got them down. But anyway, so they get to know all of this really great stuff and they get a clearer concept, and you're going to use their personal charts to look at it. So they'll be able to say, find your sun and scooch over to the moon, and those are your two big, and here your ascendant lands somewhere in here.
Yeah. And so if you have a trine between the sun and the moon, they were about 120 degrees, like geometry wise, away on the planetary plane. But to be able to make that extra work for you and pick up really great times, you would have to make that grand trine. And the thing is that it would be in each of the modalities, and it's like, what do those mean? When I finally snapped for me, they are the energies of rock, paper, and scissors.
Okay.
So the fixed sign is rock, where it just smash, smash, smash.
That's my daughter.
And cardinal is paper, because all it does is paper, but mutable is scissors, where it's more mechanical. There's opening and closing. It's a more dynamic side. There's one that just sits, one that does something, and one that does everything, but it's totally different. And so when they're working together in a chart, it's like having rock, paper, scissors backing you up, like one way or another. Yeah.
You're going to see, you're so good at explaining this. This is why I'm so happy that you're doing this class, this coursework, because people don't really, you get to see my messy desk. Sorry, I sat back. I don't care. It's a tissue box.
It's because your
Allergy
camera's cool.
season. It's allergy season. So these are the things that come through, but we go through life and we do this fast struggle. And people don't understand that math is the language of the universe, and astrology is nothing but math. They won't have to do math. So you'll be able to tell them, like, my mother used Kepler.
Okay.
Will you be using Kepler in the class? Will you be telling them to look it up on astrograph.com or?
So I use SolarFire and Astro.com. The Astro.com is a free service and it's very accurate. So that's why I recommend for people who are just starting. SolarFire and Kepler are more advanced programs that you could do more advanced things. If you're just starting, then Astro is going to really cover all your basic needs.
So does Astro have a ability where it'll progress everything, it'll do everything that you need it to do and give information to, is there a fee for that one?
There are report fees. They also have like a interactive sort of chart where you
Okay.
can click on different parts of the chart and it'll give you a generic, very simple explanation of what that is. The thing is that it won't synthesize it for you.
Oh, okay. So
So it'll explain this point and this point, but not how they work together.
got you. That's where you come in.
Yeah. Yeah,
So you're going to be at our psychic fair
I will. And I'll be advertising our astrology group,
and
right?
your class, your
Oh
course.
yeah, my class.
But we talked about it and you said, how could I get it best? We were talking about, I said, why don't you do that? She says, Michelle, you can't do that. And you were very clear about the best way to do it. You said, I will give them their sun, their moon, and Mercury.
Yes.
So when you do that, will you be able to tell how this Mercury retrograde coming up on the 14th will interact with them?
Yeah. So some people are born during a Mercury retrograde, and that's pretty easy to find. And I have just, a basic, astrology book that gives every single day where everything was. But it doesn't give me all the positions and, the rising signs. I have to do that manually, and I'd rather use a computer, but I'm not going to have my computer. We're going to just do really simple, find out how Mercury is going to be in your chart, first of all, and then how this Mercury retrograde is going to affect that. Because if you have Mercury retrograde in Aries as it is, then, Mercury retrograde is it's going to mess you up. It's going to, it's going to make things hard.
So
If
that's
you're like,
Mercury retrograde when you were born. So if
yes,
you were born under Mercury retrograde in Aries, this Mercury retrograde coming up will affect you and be a real bummer for you.
um, yes, but it depends. Because
So give me an example. I think I know somebody with a retrograde in Mercury.
oh yeah, okay, so I have actually, that is a perfect example. I have Mercury retrograde in Leo, as if you can't tell I'm a Leo.
Most
Um,
people think that that's probably some kind of gang sign because they don't know.
it's
They
a
can
Leo
see the
gang,
69 for Cancer and they think it's all about Kama Sutra.
which is really just crabs. It's the crab hands. So actually this Mercury retrograde should be good for me because Leo and Aries make that trine in in the sky, that those are naturally trine signs. And so this retrograde is going to be touching my natural Mercury retrograde. And so Mercury retrograde for me more often than not, actually acts as a double negative because I go through my whole life with Mercury retrograde, always. So everybody's like, oh, everything is messing up. I know that that's going to happen to me every single day, except during these sort of periods where, oh, everything's messing up for everybody else, but I'm already prepared for it because I've been living with it all this time. It's like,
So I feel
oh,
sorry for any children that are born during this retrograde. Because isn't the Aries new moon? Aries is the beginning astrology, um, the
yeah,
astrological new year, but we're not in Aries season yet.
not yet.
Yeah. So
But
you're talking Aries as in retrograde in Aries, as in how to explain to
Mercury,
people how that works. How, if, when does Aries season start?
Aries season starts March 20th, but the planets do their own thing besides the sun. So Mercury is already in Aries, even though the sun is still in Pisces. So we haven't reached that new moon yet, that new year yet. So Mercury retrograde in Aries is going to be good for me. It's going
So
to,
that's, you should be doing sigil magic at that point. You could probably manifest all kinds of stuff.
right? Yeah.
You'll be able to tell people you're going to come to the fair this month, and I'm going to put you on the list right now before I forget, because I will forget. I will forget. And then I'll be scrambling. We have quite a great group coming. I have a surprise for you so far as astrologers are concerned. The astrologer that may be coming to join us wrote articles for Mountain Astrologer.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's moved here to New Mexico,
Fantastic.
and he's going to be at the fair. And I'm really glad you're coming, because I want to introduce you guys, so that if you want him to speak or do something with the astrology group, or even just join, because he's really quite a nice person.
That'd be
I was
fantastic.
really impressed with him. I'm
Yeah.
He's doing a mini reading on me, to be, because I vet everybody in case they lie to me and tell me they're magnificent. Like, that's never happened.
But I'm the only magnificent one out there.
Well, there you go. So I'm sure he'll be fine. I have absolutely no doubt, because we talked, and he talked with Medj at Blue Eagle, and I happen to think that he knows. I already can tell he knows what he's talking about. So I'm real excited for him to come and meet you. His name is Albert Stevens. He will be there. This I'm putting his name on the list too. He'll be there, but I think it's going to be great. You'll be able to tell people about the astrology class. I'm really impressed with the fact that you're charging $50 a class, of which I would say, if you're smart, it's fine to pay for the class, but don't miss the class, because sometimes with astrology, you get lost.
Yeah.
So it's
And
actually $40 a class. They'll save $70 if they pay upfront in advance instead of
right.
class.
And the price was set comparing other beginner classes from a lot of the major online systems. Like there's, you know, there's Kepler University and OPA and, you know, all these organizations, they do beginner classes as well. They're all webinars. So, you know, and they're all taught by very competent astrologers. But, you know, they're upwards of $300 to $400. And it's like
And
that.
there's no interaction. See, that's
Right.
the thing that bothers me, and why if I do online classes, which I'm thinking, hopefully with this chart reading, he'll be able to tell me when my better time will be to start my online classes. Um, I don't want to do the webinar thing. I realize that a lot of people do it, but I feel like I would rather have them and ask me questions, and have, because obviously they're not understanding the material.
Right.
So that's one of the bonuses about you coming is
In person.
in person and doing this in person is they have the opportunity to get clarity. Whereas in a webinar that costs them a lot more money than what you're charging, it is not, you don't get feedback. Plus, you have the bonus that they can attend the astrology group and maybe join if it resonates well with them. Because the astrology group meets next weekend at 1:00. So we start the class coursework this Saturday.
Right. And
And
then
then
next
on the
Saturday.
15th, on the Mercury retrograde,
Right.
right?
Well, and
I always get my butt handed to me on a retrograde.
the the way I teach the course, the way I teach the course is doesn't work well as a webinar because I teach it in a very grounded way. Like you have to stand up and face east to know what's rising. So when we start to talk, okay, the sun is over there, the sun is over here, it's going to it makes a difference if the sun is setting or rising or if it's midnight and what it looks like at that time when you were born. Because, this is a map of what the sky looked like. This is like looking at the stars the day you were born.
Right. So I'm looking at, I have it's called Mobile Observatory is my app that I use to find Sirius for work.
Right.
And I always thought, boy, if I could understand what I was looking for, I could look up these things. I could go outside and look at it because it shows me, it has these little arrows and shows me where Sirius is. So I can
Yeah.
find Sirius and it's like, okay, I can find sun and it tells me about the eclipses. So if they come and join this class, they're also going to learn about how the eclipse, because we're coming into an eclipse in 2 weeks.
Yes.
2 weeks.
It's almost a week. It's going to be on the 13th.
Oh, so it's going to be before astrology group.
Yeah, it's between astrology group, but it's this astrology group because I also help facilitate that. And so this astrology group are talking about everything Aries because so many things are going into Aries and are in Aries right now, and quite a few of them are going retrograde. So we're going to actually do a roundtable where you're going to be able to interact with not just me, but other astrologers in the community with different ranges of expertise. Some have been studying. Oh,
If they join your course, if they come on March 8th, you'll be able to help them understand what's hitting their chart for the eclipse too, right?
yeah, they'll be able to start understanding. Taking the whole course is where you're going to be able to
Right.
really
But
really get
they'll be able to kind of see how it interacts, starting to, because it's
right.
actually the first day of class, so they're getting the overview that day.
Right. And they're going to be able to understand how the ancients saw astrology as well. Because, astrology goes back millennia. We use computers today, but people used to do all of this manually. And so, like tonight, just after sunset, you'll be able to go up and look to the western horizon and see Saturn and Mercury and Venus as they set in the sky. And they're going to be like little tiny stars. They used to call them wandering stars
Well,
because they come and they go. So this this is the evening star. If you've heard about the morning star and the evening star, this Venus is going to be the evening star because you can see her twinkling in the sky in the evening, and it's actually very beautiful.
we went out on the 28th during the apprenticeship program,
Yeah.
uh, and we went to go see the alignment.
Oh yeah,
That was
that
really
was
cool.
beautiful.
Yes, that was really cool. So yeah, we got to see that and all that really neat stuff going on. what do they do to, let's say, um, when they join the course, because that's where we want to get them going. We want people to start upticking into the astrology group, start understanding this very unique. This requires no intuition. So if people are hesitant, because the proof is in the actual movement. And I will say, because you and I've talked and you said, well, you don't have to be intuitive, but it does increase your intuition.
Yes. And that's how I started into, tarot, because I had relatives who did tarot, my mom's, my grandmother's sister and, a lot of older relatives, but I just, I didn't care. But when I started reading about astrology, oh, okay, I'm into this. And so when you start to reflect and meditate into yourself and, it's sort of like navel gazing and understanding yourself in a better way, even, the not so nice part of yourself. You have to like address that and see where you could be a higher person.
Oh, I don't
And
want to see the ugly in me. That takes too much energy. I think I'm with on par with the fact that I'm one of those people that people love to get angry at. It's like whatever. I'm too blunt for my own good.
well, that's okay too. And that shows in your astrology chart.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. You also do Sabian symbols, but that's if they want a reading. If they want,
Yeah. And
that's not
that's
what you're going to be teaching in this class.
no, Sabian symbols we're going to touch on the very last class because it is part of astrology, but it's a much more advanced part of astrology. It's sort of, there's all the natal chart, and then there's Sabian symbols, and there's progressions, and there's transits, and there's solar arc, and then there's more and more and more. Like you were talking about how you wanted the other astrologer to help you pick a time when things are going to be best. That's a separate branch of astrology called electional astrology, which is totally different what I'm going to be teaching here today, or not here today, but this Saturday
This
from
Saturday.
3:30 to 5:30.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so natal astrology is about the self. Electional astrology is about when it's a good time, an elective time to, do something. A lot of wedding astrologers use election astrology. One of the most famous astrologers of our time was Ronald Reagan's astrologer.
G.
And
Dixon.
yeah, and she used electional astrology not to help decide any policy decisions, but when to release these policy decisions so that they would go through easier and have a bigger impact. And as you can see, we do still feel the effects of, Reaganomics and, Reagan policies. They're still here today.
Right.
Trickle down economics because not just, just the phrase has not disappeared from our lives.
Well, and I think that people don't realize how much astrology, they don't realize that a lot of Nostradamus, his contrains, cotrains, I can't remember right now.
No.
But everything that he prophesized, he mapped out through astrology. And he was without the benefit of the Kepler program, just saying. He did the math. And so, yes, is there error in that? Some of it, absolutely. My mother did my son's chart, and she was like, "I think I did something wrong," and she did, but it was like all this garbage right up there, right up front. The thing that we don't realize is that one little mistake in the math changes it, which is why Kepler is such a great program today.
Yeah. And, Kepler and Solarfire and Sirius are all great programs. They all do the same thing as well as AstroDeans. And there's also something called astrocartography. If you're familiar with the nativity story of, Jesus Christ, if you're familiar with that, there's the three wise men. Those were astrologers. They used astrology not just to pick a time when
Oh,
Christ would
now you
come.
just pissed off half of the audience. I'm just
Well,
kidding. I can see who's on listening and they wouldn't be pissed.
well, but they also, okay, we'll be pissed. I'm sorry. They
I
also,
see that's what I do.
Be pissed.
Yeah, they're
Sincerest
not mad.
apology.
These
Going
lovely
on.
ladies are not going to be mad. I was just joking about because you said, "Oh my God, the three wise men were astrologers," and there you go. You're going to get in trouble with hellfire and brimstone.
No, because they were astrologers. They were able to use astrocartography to pinpoint a place on the map on, half a world away where they traveled to and bring gifts for. Like, to just do the math of that, to be able to map a specific place, on the other side of the world without computers,
Right.
that's, I couldn't do it without the computer.
I'm telling
But
you, I can do books. I can do all the bookkeeping you want. Do not ask me to add up, divide, multiply, and then come up with an algebraic uh, solution. I ditched math. I fully admit that was not in my personal chart.
well, and I did good in math when I was younger, but like as time goes on, it seems to get harder. But one of the things about astrology is some of the earliest astrologers that we have, solid records from are the earliest scientists, like Johannes Kepler, Copernicus, Galileo. Like
Yeah,
the retrograde motion was there's the drawings from Johannes Kepler is actually um one of the bases for why we have retrograde. Retrograde is actually it's an optical illusion. It
right.
means that the planet is going backward, but it's not. It's an optical illusion. If you know that feeling when you're in a car and you're driving and you come to a stop, but then the car next to you starts to move and you feel like you're going backwards in
Yes,
that moment, and you're like, what is happening? That is what's happening to the planet. If you
right.
can understand it, that's happening to the whole world.
Absolutely. That's why I say it's so fascinating to me. I love sitting there and listening to you guys. I don't get to all the time. Um, but I love listening to your guys' talks and listening in to see what people are saying and the whole expansion. So I'm really looking forward to I'll probably be taking some of the Saturdays off.
Mhm.
So because I've got surgery, but Lori will be there in the classroom and she'll be able to open and shut down and take care of business for you. Um, so how do they, if people want to join, if they want to come down and learn more, they can come to the psychic fair this Sunday at the center from noon to 5. But if they want to join, how do they get in touch with you? If they want
Um,
to sign up for the class?
for the class, they would email me at monica.g.astrology@gmail. So that's my email. And so you can contact me on Facebook as well. I think Michelle tagged me. And if not, then I'll tag myself later. So, getting a hold of me is pretty easy. Right now, my profile picture is not a picture of me, it's a picture of a cute little monkey going like this. Um, because I love that. I
I'm
love
tagging
different,
you now.
fantastic. Yeah. So there's also so contacting me to join the class um is the best way to get a hold of me and to sign up for the class. There's also an email list for the group. And so you would have gotten a notification for the class in advance whenever we have special speakers, our monthly meeting. I have the monthly meetings all planned out for the rest of the year, which is, what, 10 more months?
Yeah.
So we're going to do Albuquerque's astrology in April. So we're going to look at the astrology of the place of Albuquerque. May, we're doing sun moon midpoints. June, we're having our solstice celebration
Holy
because the
cow, you've got this mapped out.
oh, yeah, I do.
I
Yeah,
love the fact you're so organized.
it's Virgo moon. I
Oh,
emotionally need
that's it. Yeah, I get you.
I am emotionally need organization or I just can't function.
Well, and you know what? I totally understand because I don't. I have my stellium in Virgo.
Oh yeah.
We
Then our desks are a disaster area. I have this wonderful background, but our desks, there's just like piles. But don't mess with my piles.
I
They're
know
in a
where
specific
everything
order.
is in my pile. Leave it alone.
Don't touch it. Don't look at it.
I
Just
used to, I was so busy when I was with, raising kids that I had this stack of paperwork that I had to do sitting on my, I have a bar that, in the countertop, and I would just sit there, and once a month I'd sit down for 4 hours going, oh, thank God I missed that. Oh, good golly, I missed that. Rats. So anyway,
I have
I absolutely love you and adore you. I can't wait for this to come through. I think
yeah.
you're going to do great with the class. I think there's going to be some amazing people that show up for it. We're putting it out there and we're letting people know that you are alive and dangerous. She just sits there in her innocence laughing.
No.
Honey, anytime you hand over the keys to their wisdom for people to find out more about themselves, you are the dangerous one
Yeah,
because you
that's
are unleashing their potential. And that's one of the greatest opportunities and gifts anybody could ever give is unleashing the potential in others.
yeah.
So there you go, sweet woman. I
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Appreciate you as well.
We
And
could
you're
be sitting here. If anybody wants to watch her sun, or I'm sorry, her new moon and full moon, she does two different forecasts in Resonant Essentials, the group. So you guys can go in there and you can listen to her forecast. She's very accurate. She's wonderful, and she's a great teacher. You're going to love her class. So please think about joining.
and this next full moon is going to be exciting because it's an eclipse.
Oh, that's
So
right.
that's
It's a
gonna
lunar eclipse. And it's in Libra, isn't it?
no, it's still in
Aries?
Virgo.
Virgo?
So yeah,
I
because the
thought it
sun is
was,
going to be no, because the sun is going to be in Pisces until the 20th. And
well, but
then
when is the eclipse that's the last one in Libra
on the 29th or the 28th.
of March? And
Yeah, of this month.
it's
So
a solar.
yes, and it's
Okay.
that's going to be the one that's going to be in Aries, and the opposite point will be Libra, but it won't be. It's a new moon eclipse, so it's going to be all Aries.
Okay.
So yeah,
How does that
eclipses.
affect the cardinal signs?
Um,
Isn't it a release for them?
it is, but it's also it can bring in new things because it opens up. It's like opens up portals. So the 2 weeks between the eclipses are called the eclipse portal because
Honey, I
that's
am
just
excited for any kind of change because these last 15 years with Pluto and Capricorn were so
right.
mean. And this Mars going retrograde in Cancer was so mean. I am so tired of mean. I'm looking for the good times to roll.
Well, now fixed signs are getting it because Pluto's going into Aquarius. So we're just, but no, I think it's going to be good.
I hope it's going to be. I think it's doing the country good. I think we're fighting back finally.
Well, yeah, and I did actually a talk about Pluto and Aquarius. I think that's its exaltation, even though common astrologers, they believe is in Leo. And I'm like, no, 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 it's the opposite. It's the opposite. Because the most powerful thing in the universe is the internet.
Yeah.
In our that we underestimate the power of the internet.
We take it
And
for granted. You're absolutely right.
right, and the connections that we are able to make and the organizations, you know when something goes viral on the internet, it cannot be stopped. Like people who have gone viral for innocent things have still had to change their names. There was a woman who had to, well, it's probably a digression onto internet stuff, but
That's okay. I'm gonna write down in case people want a reading on this. So it's Monica. I'm gonna hold it up so people can see it. .g
mhm,
astrology or
dot astrology. So there's
dot
two dots.
astrology. So it's Monica.g astrology.
Yes, at Gmail.
I'm writing it so that I can hold it up. I didn't get .com after. Hey, you guys, this is
That's
her.
me.
This is, whoa, let me get me out of the picture. Get over here. Okay, I'm seeing on my other screen. So that's her. If you want a reading, you can call her. You can text her. I mean, not text her, email her. I mean, not call her. You can email her to set up a reading. She does them over the phone. She's wonderful. She's an amazing friend and an amazing astrologer. If you want to sign up for her class, please do so because you can't miss. She's going to be doing a great class.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm excited to do it.
Oh, I know. I'm really excited for you. So we will see you guys soon. Remember, she'll be at the psychic fair to answer any more questions. She'll tell you how Mercury is going to affect your Mercury retrograde is going to be affecting you starting February 14th or March 14th it starts, or 15th.
March 14th at around midnight, so it's March 15th. So
Okay, and we have Venus retrograde, so who knows? And we have
yeah.
planets, the slower moving planets are moving into Aries, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So they're
And
going to
that's
be, Neptune's going into Aries, so it's going to be hanging around there for a while.
right. And it's going to be there for years. It's going to, dip its toe in, and then next year it's going to stay there. So Neptune is the second slowest moving planet. So, Pluto's going to be in Aquarius for 20 years. Neptune's going to be in Aries for 14.
Sweet. I could use some of that. It hits my chart well, so I'm happy. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, it hits my chart well as well, which I'm excited about too. I'm like, yes, this is the perfect time for me to do a class.
Absolutely. Can't wait. Love you, dear. My heart to yours and to everyone else. We will talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye now.